Alright, so today I was going through my rack of my breeder female ball pythons, and I actually saw one laying a big clutch of eggs this morning. Pretty awesome. And I'm thinking by now she should be done laying all those eggs. This was actually a cross between my Coral Glow 100% het pied and a pinstripe female, shooting for the Coral Glow pinstripes, which is a really amazing combination. And I'm thinking a big girl like this, I'm thinking maybe she'll lay about 8 or 9 eggs. It'll be pretty awesome to see how many eggs she has. Hopefully no slugs, and hopefully I'll actually get, I can actually get Coral Glows, pinstripes, Coral Glow pinstripes, and normals. And it seems like lately I've been getting hit hard with the odds, just getting a bunch of normals. Hopefully I'll have better luck with this one. And actually, once you set the eggs up in the incubator, it's a 2-month wait before they hatch, a really long wait before you see the results. So today I just want to jump in there, pull the eggs from the female. Hopefully we'll have some really nice looking eggs, and we'll set them up in the incubator. Alright, so I keep my breeder ball pythons in this rack over here, most of my breeder females. I actually keep some in the other rack. These are my really big ones. And this one is actually an 8-year-old female. She is really big. And hopefully she's laid all the eggs. Let's take a look at this girl. She's got a death grip on those eggs. Take a look at that. That is beautiful. Awesome pinstripe on a bunch of nice pearly white eggs. It looks really good. Looks like she's got a lot of eggs under there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this tub out, put it on the table, and we'll pull her off those eggs. We'll try not to get bit pulling them off those eggs. And then we'll actually take a look at those eggs, separate them, and set them up in the incubation box. So I actually only set up 1 box for these eggs, but it looks like I may need more than 1 box. I pretty much put, I think I could put about 9 eggs in one of those little plastic shoe boxes for my incubator. And it's always tricky trying to get this girl off of the eggs without taking a bite. She is like not very happy right now. And usually if you just come around the back and avoid the bitey end, usually they come off the eggs pretty good. Let's take a look at how many she has. Nice big eggs, no slugs that I can see. And usually what you do is right after you take them off the eggs, you want to kind of check the belly, make sure there's no egg-bound eggs in there. It looks like she may have laid them all. She doesn't really feel like she has any eggs in her belly. She still has pretty good body condition for just laying eggs. Look at that. Not too bad for just laying a bunch of eggs. She'll probably come right back into condition pretty easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put her down in this. I have an extra tub down here. I'll put her in the tub just temporarily, and then we'll take a look at these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 eggs. And they are stuck to the bottom. Wow. I can't get these eggs off. And it's funny, I think it's been a while since she laid them. I didn't think they'd get this stuck together. Wow, I've never really had them that stuck to the bottom. That is kind of crazy. Wow. They're really stuck to the plastic. That's the first time I've ever seen them super stuck like this. That is something else. As a matter of fact, these are so kind of older and kind of stuck. I may actually kind of leave these in a big clump all in my incubation box if they'll actually fit in there. I still have one that's kind of stuck here on the bottom, and you definitely don't want to rip them. That is for sure. Wow. Take a look at that. Pretty good. A whole bunch of eggs. Let me move my light up a little bit so we get a little bit better light on these eggs by the camera. You can take a look at them. This is pretty awesome. Take a look at those beauties. Wow. That is pretty awesome. And it's kind of funny on the bottom on this one. Look, it kind of almost ripped through from the bottom. So what I'm going to do, as a matter of fact, I may just leave these all together and put them in the incubation box just like this. We'll see if it fits. Maybe, well, I actually like to kind of separate them. But I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. Oh yeah. It's always kind of tricky to try to separate these. I think they'll come apart okay. What I really like to do is I like to separate them, because if one of them goes bad, I like to separate it from the rest of them. And it seems like lately I've had quite a few that tend to go bad or get moldy or get really funky. And if they're all stuck together like this and you get one in the middle, then it's kind of tough. I don't know, but the problem is if they're way too stuck together, sometimes you risk actually tearing a hole in one, which is not very good. But I think they'll come apart okay. They get really stuck together. It's pretty amazing how snake eggs just kind of stick together like that. Pretty crazy. And I like to kind of peel them from all the different sides instead of like ripping them all from one direction. And hopefully I won't tear a hole. It kind of makes me nervous. I know some people, they never separate them. They have big boxes and they set the whole thing in the bigger boxes. But I can actually get more eggs in my incubator if I use the smaller boxes and separate all my eggs to fit in the smaller boxes. Which is, I don't know, these are really super stuck together. That is kind of crazy. And I actually had one leak once, and I used a Band-Aid to patch the leak, and it actually worked. And I can't believe that it plugged the hole and that egg hatch too. It was kind of crazy. These are really kind of stuck. This is, you know, it's kind of the debate, you know, should I separate them or not? Some people never separate. Some people, depends pretty much on a case-by-case basis. This is kind of on the edge to where, you know, normally I try to separate as much as possible just because I've had so many bad eggs. As a matter of fact, on my last clutch, I had one that looked like a fertile egg, like a full-size white one like this that was a slug with no veins or anything in there. And it actually molded in the box, and it went bad, and I had to actually throw it away, which is kind of crazy. It's the first time I've ever seen a full-size slug. Usually the slugs are about half the size and like a darker yellow, but it looks like these are going to come apart. It just kind of makes me sweat a little bit pulling these eggs apart from this ball python clutch. And you definitely don't want to lose one at this point. And kind of my biggest fear at this point is to actually drop one, because if you look inside of them, they're full of tiny little veins. And I would imagine that if you dropped one, even from this height, like down to here, then you could potentially kill the embryo, which you have to be really careful separating them and make sure that you don't drop them. And what I like to do after this is I like to candle them and then figure out the top, where the embryos, and put the embryo on the top for the 2 months of incubation. So, all right, we got them all separated. Nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my flashlight, and then we'll candle them, and then I actually have a little Sharpie here, and we'll mark the top of the eggs with a little X right where the embryo is. And I'll pull out my light and turn out all these studio lights here that I have going on in my snake room. Whoa. All right, so let's take a look at this. Look at this one. So the embryo, it's kind of hard on these because they've already been sitting for quite a bit. You can see kind of a little jiggly spot right there, and that is the embryo. What I like to do is I like to put an X right on the embryo and then have the X's face up in the incubation box. And here's another one right there. And usually you can actually see them really good when they first hatch. And a lot of times you'll have this circle right where the embryo is. You can kind of see it on this one, kind of a little circle, kind of a jiggly little circle. And you can put an X right there. So that's 3 of them. Here's another one. Actually, it's pretty easy. Goes pretty quick. And the kind of thing that freaked me out on that one is it had no veins and no circle, and it went bad. It was a full-size slug, which is kind of weird. I don't know what the odds are of getting a full-size slug. It seems like this year I'm getting so many bad odds. I'm getting hardly anything I want to get in my clutches, and I'm getting handfuls of normals and weird slugs and all kinds of stuff. It's like the whole world is circling the opposite way this year. It's kind of been a crazy year. All right, so what I do from here is I actually prepared this egg box, and this is how I make it. Essentially what I do is I actually weighed out 150 grams of vermiculite, and I actually use this really fine vermiculite, and then I mix in 150 grams of water. I preheat my water to 90 degrees because the incubator is 90 degrees, and I figure it'll kind of boost the incubation if I have it at the right temperature right away from the start. And then what I do is I just kind of wedge them in just like this. And put them, whoa, I don't want to flip my eggs, wow. All right, I'm gonna have to hold this box. I was like 1 egg shy of the balance on that tub. That is kind of crazy. So what I do is I'll put them in there and then I'll wedge them in a little bit. And I'm gonna put this tub back so it doesn't flip over, and then I'll kind of arrange those a little bit better. All right, so that is pretty awesome. Got a whole clutch of eggs here, and they're all looking fantastic. Essentially what I want to do is I want to keep them away from the sides, because what happens is you pretty much get 100% humidity in there, and it kind of drips down on the sides and you get condensation buildup. You definitely want to keep the condensation off the eggs. And I just use press and seal, and there's been a lot of debate whether the press and seal actually allows the oxygen to go through, and if you could potentially suffocate your hatchlings. And so far, you know, I've never had a problem with that with this press and seal. So what I do is I just kind of line it up with the press and seal. I kind of just tear off a section of press and seal. And this is, let's see if I can actually tear this off here. And then I just put it right on the box, and it has like a sticky side on the press and seal that sticks right to the box and seals it up, keeps all the humidity in there. And it seems like it works fine, even though some people say that it actually doesn't allow it to breathe, which I find is kind of interesting. So what I'm going to try in this one, I'm actually going to kind of flip up the ends of the press and seal a little bit, and then I'll put the lid on it. And then I printed out a couple labels. I'll kind of show you what I did for my labels here to label the box. I put, this is actually my Coral Glow 100% het pied, if you can see that. My light is down a little bit. Let me boost my light up a little bit so you can actually see these labels. This is Coral Glow 100% het pied crossed with my pinstripe. And then what I do is I put the date laid and the hatch date. So today is the 22nd of July, and it should hatch the 20th of September. So I actually have a spare boa tub down here that I use for kind of holding the females while I'm getting their eggs. And look at how skinny she is. Super long and skinny. That is a really super skinny snake. And this one probably hasn't eaten in months. He hasn't eaten anything, just sitting on those eggs. Kind of crazy. So I'm just going to put her right back in her tub here. And usually what I do is after they lay eggs, I like to kind of give them a little bath and change the substrate, try to get them back on food. Sometimes if you can kind of get them from, you know, smelling the eggs, sometimes they'll coil up like they think they're sitting on eggs, and it's really hard to get them to eat sometimes. And sometimes they'll go right back on food even the next week after they lay eggs. It really depends on the female. Alright, so here is my snake egg incubator. I actually put them in the box up on top here. I actually built this out of a beverage cooler, and I put some heat tape on the sides, and I run it on a kind of a reptile thermostat on the bottom, and then I put a little fan right on the bottom. It's been working fantastic. I've hatched hundreds of eggs out of here. I have that little thermostat and then just one little fan on the bottom. I actually used 2 fans one year, and it produced a little bit too much heat and overheated my incubator. And you can actually see in here that I kind of rotate through these eggs. As a matter of fact, I had 25 eggs this year, and I had 4 that were egg bound and didn't make it, and then another 3 slugs, I think. So I had like 7 bad ones, which is like an average of like 82% good eggs so far, which is usually worse than I get. Usually I have, you know, like 90-95% of my eggs are good. So this year has been pretty tough as far as the eggs. Alright, so here is the other snake from that clutch. I actually had 3 that didn't come out of the eggs yet. 2 of them looked like they were calicos. 1 of them passed away. The other one had that weird weird umbilical thing going on. And then this is the other one I had. This is actually kind of what I was shooting for in that clutch. This is a calico bamboo, possibly pastel. I was actually shooting for another pastel bamboo calico, so even though I had bad luck with all that, I still got this beauty out of the clutch. Take a look at that one. And the calico really brings up all the white up on the side. Look at how reduced it is. That is pretty amazing. And the calico bamboos, they really brighten up and turn like a bright white when they age and mature. It makes for a really impressive combination. And the pastel, usually you can't tell pastel and bamboos until they age a little bit and they start yellowing up. But I'm at least glad I got this beauty out of that clutch. All right, so there you have it, another 8 eggs in the incubator. Pretty exciting, and hopefully this time I'll actually hit my Coral Glow pinstripe. As a matter of fact, I made one last year and I sold it, and I was thinking, man, I should have saved that. And it's kind of always the same way. You know, it's like, you know, you sell one and then you think, you know, I can always make another one. And this is kind of like round 2 on some of these snakes, trying to hit some of the stuff that I made before and I actually sold that I probably should have kept, but at the time, you know, I actually brought them to reptile shows and I was kind of showing them off, and then people offer you some money, and that's kind of where you get in trouble. You know, you have some really awesome stuff, you bring it to shows and you show it off, and then people show up like with a handful of cash and like, all right, I'll just make another one. And that is kind of the exciting part of ball pythons. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.